You're listening to the Healthy Creative Ministry podcast with Matt Curtis. This is the podcast that helps you take your creative ministry from wherever you are today to healthy and effective.
Do systems really matter? This week, we're going to tackle what is a pretty straightforward question. We talk about systems a lot. Are they really that important? Are they really beneficial? Are they important to ministry? In some cases, even, are they good? This has been an interesting one for me over the years because I've actually found a lot of resistance to systems. I've been surprised by that. I assumed that no one really had a problem with that. The ultimate tension is this sense that the church is becoming a business. Now, I am hard pass on that. I do not believe that a church should become a business. I do believe that we need operational infrastructure in order to function. I believe that there needs to be order to prevent our organization, our church, from chaos. And I do believe that systems can help protect the most important things that we are trying to accomplish, essentially the mission. Systems can help protect the mission. From my vantage point, systems actually matter a lot, and they matter in that they will help us accomplish the mission we're trying to accomplish. But there is resistance and there is hesitation. And so this week, I want to answer this question with that in mind. What are some of the benefits that systems bring to the table for us? The reason this is important is because if you are in leadership and are hesitant to implement systems, then maybe some of these insights will be helpful. If you are not in leadership, but you recognize that leadership does need systems, then this may be helpful for you as you facilitate that conversation. Just as a quick caveat on the front end here, everyone will feel the need for systems differently, and everyone will feel the need for different systems. So I want to caution you, if you're about to go to bat for this and you're ramping up and saying, I'm going to get some great arguments to argue for systems, be careful, because usually we see the one area that a system will help, but we don't always see the negative implications that can come from a system. So we're going to start with this one. Systems can help you be more human. And the reason I want to start here is because this is one of the big concerns. And this is one of the big misses for us. If we get systems heavy, we can actually dehumanize our ministry and eventually dehumanize our church and kind of steal the ability for us to interact on a human level. This is a really important one to have a sound conviction on and have a clear perspective on, because things like AI will only make this worse. I think that there's a role that AI can play in our workflow. There's a role that AI can contribute to what we do. But if you get out of whack on that, you are setting yourself up for really some catastrophic problems. AI is only going to make this reality worse. Systems, when they are applied incorrectly or too liberally, they will steal the heart and the soul out of an organization. So I'm an advocate for as few of systems as you can have, but I do think that some systems are necessary. When systems are applied well, what it can actually do for you is remove some of those repetitive tasks or repetitive decisions from your day-to-day, and that buys you now margin to be able to interact, person to person, humanly, in the different areas where the human element is so important. One of the things that I've encountered over the years that to me is complex. I haven't solved it. I'm not in care ministry, and so I don't have a solution for it because I haven't spent any time thinking about it. But when churches put a very high barrier to entry in getting care or getting, financial assistance or even having a conversation with somebody in the care ministry, that dehumanizes it for me. And so the systems there are put in the wrong place if they make it so that the church is inaccessible. Another way that I see this actually a lot is how easy is it for people to contact the people on your staff? If I'm on the outside and I have a problem, can I even get in touch with anybody? And I don't mean that senior pastor has to be on call. I just mean, can I interact with anybody? So systems live in this space, and systems overdone can be a problem. But when they're done appropriately, they can really streamline some of these processes, even to the point where you are now more accessible to interact with other people, which is a huge win. The second thing that systems can bring to the table for you is it can actually help you fight against decision fatigue. This to me was by far the most draining aspect of my job in communications. People were coming to me all the time for decisions, and I couldn't keep up with the pace of decisions that were being asked of me. I just couldn't. Now, maybe you have a very high motor when it comes to decision making, but not having systems meant that I burnt out. The way that systems does this is it's through something like the promotional plan that I talk about often. When you have clarity on what events are promoted at what level, there are no more decisions that need to get made in that how should we promote it conversation. We already have the answer. And so what that does for you is it eliminates that decision for every event. So it multiplies itself. This is the power of systems, is it solves multiple problems so that you don't have to solve them in a repeated way. You invest one time. So let's say that it takes you 30 minutes to make a decision around how you're going to promote each individual event. Let's say it takes you one full day to build a system that answers that question for you, a promotional plan. Well, you're gonna see that if you drew a chart, you would see that there's only so many events that you can build a custom strategy for before it becomes a ton of time invested in building these custom plans. So that's what a system will do for you, is it you'll solve it really well one time, and then you'll apply it multiple times. And when you do that, you've now successfully won the battle of decision fatigue. You don't have to make a decision about that anymore. Something I recommend in this type of a situation with a promotional plan, build the promotional plan. Invest the day or the 2 days or however many days. Invest that time on the front end and then run it for 90 days. And what you've done is you've bought yourself 90 days where you're not having to constantly reinvent a promotional plan every single time. And that is an immense burden off of your shoulders. Then at that 90-day mark, dedicate another day or two to now evaluate and start making decisions again. Was this plan helpful? Was it successful? Are there things that need to change? Make whatever adjustments you need to, and then lock it in again for another 90 days. And what you're doing here is you're saying to yourself, I am going to reevaluate this, but I'm going to do it at a scheduled time intentionally. I'm not going to just back my way into constantly refining things. And in doing that, you have eliminated so many decisions from your day to day. It's incredible. And so in that sense, systems can actually be the difference between success and failure in your job, in lasting and not lasting in your job. The third thing that systems do, they actually protect a disciplined approach to communication. Communications can't be a happenstance endeavor. That just doesn't work. I think of this a lot like sports. So when you play sports like rec sports or even youth sports, up through maybe high school, probably even a little bit before high school, you can't just rely on the talent of the people on your team. You have to have very targeted training. You have to have strategies and tactics. You need to play as a team. You have set pieces depending on the type of sport that you're playing in. I played a lot of baseball. And so for us, there were certain scenarios that we needed to practice for in order to make sure that we were organized. Everyone knew their place. Everyone knew their responsibility. And we were prepared for whatever situation came. When the situation showed up, success or failure was dependent on us and how disciplined we were in our practice and how disciplined we were in our execution. What we were doing is we were coordinating ourselves. And this is really what systems do. When you sit down to come up with a system, there's a level of discipline that needs to happen on the execution side. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been working with the church, building strategies for them. They called me up and they said, hey, we just need some extra strategic brain power. Can you help us build a variety of strategies? As we looked at building this system for social media, I basically took their mission. What's the goal of the organization? What's the mission that they cry from the mountaintops? What is the goal? What's the point? Why are they doing what they're doing? And then crafted a strategy. So whatever they put on social media now expressed that mission. And so what we did is we defined what disciplined communication looks like. It looks like a social media post about this topic, accomplishing this end goal. It's very disciplined. And the reason that's so important is because now if somebody in the organization says, well, hey, let's go dance in the hallway. I heard that that's a trend right now. Sorry, we actually have a very intentional and strategic approach to the way that we communicate on social media. We did the same thing for email. What are our emails? Why do we send them? Who sends them? When do we send them? What's the reason behind all of these things? The system that we created in the form of a strategy, that was a disciplined approach to communication spelled out so that we could protect that disciplined approach so that we didn't drift. We didn't have a really cool idea, but it doesn't fit. The problem when we go cool idea to cool idea is that it actually ignores a disciplined approach to communication. And when we're not disciplined, everyone feels it. They may not be able to articulate it, but when you look at your page, your social media page, your feed, whatever, your website, it expresses itself everywhere. You look at it with an outside perspective, and it will be glaringly obvious. This to me is actually some of the value of having an outside perspective. I could work with this church and say, ooh, guys, I got some bad news here. You are really missing the mark when it comes to communicating your mission on social media. It's not evident at all. For me, that's glaringly obvious. When you're in the trenches, it's really hard. So get the evaluation, then build through a system something that protects the discipline, protects that disciplined approach. And then when you operate, everything that you operate or execute is going to be on mission. And so that's really what systems do. They protect your objective as a ministry in terms of the way that you communicate. That doesn't mean that your kids' ministry is going to be successful. It doesn't mean that everybody's signing up for your events. So when I say it's successful, I don't mean that it's numerically accomplishing everything in, all your hopes and dreams. Maybe, but it protects the communication. It protects the integrity and the clarity and the focus of how you communicate and what you communicate about. And then speaking of these inspired events, I have this great idea. Systems actually can make your risk-taking more intelligent. This is the fourth benefit that systems bring to the table. When you decide, we're going to risk on this, we're going to go big, we're going to shoot for the moon, it's going to help you actually shoot in the right direction. Oftentimes what happens when we see something that's really working at another church is we just love the fact that it's working, and that's where we stop. But if you pause long enough before you just adopt a trendy ministry, it's not very difficult to discover or to see whether or not this new thing is going to work in your context. It's just really not that difficult to see it. And this is where systems are so valuable, is that they actually help you remember your mission more clearly. And so let's say that there is a ministry that exists and it's incredibly helpful to newcomers. I think of Plan Your Visit. That's a great example. A lot of churches have the Plan Your Visit feature or section of the website. The church that I served at most recently, we were not about the church facilitating a Plan Your Visit. We wanted people in our congregation to be inviting people. That was our premise. That was our mission. Preparing every generation to change their worlds for Christ. So that meant a Plan Your Visit page would actually be counterintuitive, because that would mean that the person who was planning a visit didn't have a personal connect. And we wanted them to have a personal connect. So instead of that, we decided to take a risk and try to empower the inviters. If you have somebody in your life that's going to come and join you for church, what can I give you to help make that invite more effective? What can I do to prepare you to have that conversation? What can I do for you? Not what can I do for the person that's being invited, but what can I do for you to empower and equip you to accomplish that? And so what this does is it takes an idea that's a good idea. I don't have a problem with a Plan Your Visit page, But I do have a problem with the way that many churches implement it because it's disconnected from the mission. And in some cases, it's actually against the mission. It actually goes against the premise of what the mission talks about. So as you're considering a new initiative, as you're considering this new risky endeavor, your systems and your processes are going to actually help reveal if this is in the direction that it needs to go. And here's why I say that. When you try to do something new, when you try to initiate something new, I'm going to call it a risk here, but it's a new venture, a new idea. If it is breaking a lot of stuff in your organization, you're going to feel friction everywhere. It's going to feel super hard. And the reason that it does is because those systems and processes are helping protect the direction of the mission. And so the things that align with your mission shouldn't break a lot of your systems. And I think this is where a lot of times we run into trouble. I've been a part of organizations where we have, instead of saying our systems are indicative of the direction that we want to go, like they're helping protect that, we've gone the other way and we've said, our systems aren't allowing us to move in this new direction. Okay, but why aren't they? What's the problem with them? Oh, because they're too restrictive or they're designed for a different paradigm. Okay, well, if you have to make mission shifting decisions to pursue a new initiative, you're getting distracted. And I think that's the key here. Distraction is one of the things that stalls out churches. When we are obsessed with too many things, or worse, we're obsessed with nothing and we just drift from idea to idea or, Hail Mary pass to Hail Mary pass, we're not really structured in the way that we're approaching our mission. You can't accomplish a mission through one event. It just doesn't work that way. A mission takes time and relentless, focused effort in order to achieve it. That's what it takes. So if you find yourself constantly changing all of the time, you're actually working against the accomplishment of your vision and your mission. And so that's where systems are actually indicators for us. Now, sometimes a system needs to change. Sometimes a system is poorly implemented or a bad process. So this isn't to say that all systems are perfect. I think you understand that. My guess is that I'm going to have to argue you into systems, not help you understand that sometimes systems are bad. But that's the relationship that you want. You want a system to help propel the mission forward. Ultimately, when systems are implemented correctly, especially speaking in the context of creative ministry, your systems will reduce the amount of decision fatigue that you encounter regularly, but it also will protect you from drifting away from the mission that you've established as a church. When your systems are implemented well, they help you accomplish the mission of your church. That's how I would answer the question. Do systems really matter?
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Healthy Creative Ministry Podcast. This podcast is just one of the ways Lunchtime Heroes can help you build a healthy creative ministry in your church. Stay up to date on the latest by signing up for the Creative Bites email at lunchtimeheroes.co.